I think it's time for a mid-year reading check-in. It has been such a great year for reading so far, so I'm going to go through and tell you what my favourite book has been for each month of the year so far. Starting off strong for January, we have The Wedding People. This was my first 5-star read of the year. Our main character Phoebe arrives at a very fancy hotel with no bag packed, and the only plan is to end her own life. But it turns out she's the only person at this hotel that is not part of a massive wedding party for a wedding that's happening at the end of the week. These wedding people end up changing the trajectory of her life. While this book obviously does have some sad themes, and I would recommend checking trigger warnings, ultimately, my takeaway from it was a story about hope, about people, and about connection, and I would really recommend it. I've seen a few people go into this book thinking that it's going to be like a fun summer wedding romance. It's not, but it's really good, and it was a balm to my soul during a very dark and gloomy January. My favourite book of February was The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. I was lucky enough to receive an e-arc of this and have been lucky enough to receive a finished copy early. I love you, Orbit Books. This was everything I wanted it to be and more. This book is so funny. The banter is immaculate. The British humour is perfect. The slow burn is an actual slow burn. An actual slow burn. The enemies to lovers, actual enemies to lovers. They don't just not really like each other for 100 pages and then they're in love. Not here. Not around here, partner. Actual enemies to lovers, actual slow burn, brilliant banter, and I was laughing out loud when I was reading this book. Our FMC is a healer. Our MMC is basically the opposite of that. He kills for a living. So straight off the bat, they are not on the same page as each other. But through some blackmail and other things, they end up having to work together, and it is just immaculate. This comes out July 8th. Pick it up. My favourite for March was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This was my first ever Abby Jimenez book, and it did not disappoint. I absolutely loved it. We have a very green flag MMC in this. It is so lovely. Our FMC's healing journey that she goes on in this is chef's kiss. This is an age gap. She's the older one. She's 37. He's 28. This is just so beautifully written. I love their relationship so much, and the descriptions, the setting, everything were so beautiful. I would give anything to spend a day at the Grant House in the summer. It was just... Okay, on to my favourite for April. It's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab. I was lucky enough to receive an arc of this and take part in a read-along with Book Break by Pam Macmillan. You're probably seeing this book everywhere right now, and it is with good reason. This is so, so good. If you already know V. Schwab, you know her writing is just absolutely fantastic. It's visceral, evocative, enveloping. It's amazing. If you loved Addie LaRue, you will love this. I feel like I can say that with confidence. We follow 3 different women through 3 different timelines, but they do interconnect. This is a story about life and death, about hunger, and women, and toxic lesbian vampires. When people say that, they mean it, but it is also even more than that. This book might change your life. Honestly, it's so beautiful. I actually just got back from an event seeing V. Schwab, so this is my hardback signed edition, and it came with this little bookmark that has her little poem on it, and it says, "Love is hungry." I don't know if you can see this, might be too bright. On the title page here, next to her signature, we have a little tour exclusive embossed stamp. What I was most excited for, all of us in the group chat for the read along were going mad about these totes and desperately wanting them. So I was so happy that I got one on the tour. I did want to vlog that, but it was so hot and I had the heaviest backpack and it just did not work. But I'll insert a little clip.
So I knew that I wanted them to exist in the same spiritual space. And what I mean by that is, hypothetically, anyone from Abbey LaRue could run into anyone from Bones. They are coexisting. And this is my fantasy landscape. And that's like, I've written high fantasies, right? I've written fantasies which are departures from reality. But where I feel most at home is when I have one foot in and 1 foot in magic. And essentially, I'm bringing the magic and the supernatural into our space.
Moving on to May, we have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This was another first for me. I've just started reading Ashley Poston and I'm obsessed with Ashley. You know, every now and again you find an author where when you open their book, it says to you, like, hi, like, come in, put your feet up, I'll put the kettle on, you're safe here. That is how I felt reading this. Ashley writes so beautifully. Her magical realism is unmatched. She writes about grief so beautifully. This is now one of my favourite books of all time. Okay, I am cheating a little bit now because this is also May. This is my second favourite for May. I can do what I want. Okay, it's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I was a bit apprehensive going into this because you never know when something's so hyped up, whether it's going to disappoint you or live up to the hype. This absolutely lived up to the hype for me. The vibes are absolutely immaculate in this book. The setting, the general aura, the tension, the quotability. This was such a beautiful modern gothic fairy tale. If we have similar reading tastes and you haven't read this yet, you've been on the fence, pick it up. I can almost guarantee that you will love it. If you haven't heard of it before, this follows a diviner who dreams for a living, somewhat of a prophet, and a knight. And there is some political intrigue. There is a very lovable side character. I don't want to tell you too much. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend you pick it up. Okay, we're moving on to June. We have Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I've never read an Ali Hazelwood book that I didn't enjoy, and this I started reading right as the heat waves were starting to roll in the UK, and it was absolutely perfect. This takes place on a little Italian getaway for our FMC's brother's wedding. This is an age gap romance. She's 23, he's 38. But the problematic nature of that is spoken about throughout the course of the book. He is very reluctant, and in his reluctancy comes yearning. Ali knows how to make a man yearn. This was such a fun summer read. I loved it. The tension was impeccable. The setting, again, impeccable. This is a really good one if you want to go and read on the beach. If you're thinking about what book to put in your suitcase when you go on holiday this year, give this one a go. Okay, I'm cheating again because I have a second favourite for June, and you won't be surprised. It's The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I'm not going to rehash everything. She's just amazing. The way she writes is amazing. In this book, we have a magical house that every so often will take you back 7 years in time, but only within the house. It's just absolutely fantastic. Again, the way Ashley approaches grief is beautifully done. The story is wonderful. The romance is wonderful. I would die for this book. I would die for Ashley Poston. Okay, that is me for the year so far. Have you read any of these? What did you think about them? Do you have The Irresistible Urge pre-ordered? Let me know. And what's been your favourite book of the year so far? Or favourite book of each month of the year so far? Let me know in the comments. I desperately do want to know. And based on this video, based on what my reading taste is clearly like, do you have any recommendations for me? I do already have One Dark Window, Two Twisted Crowns here because everyone was shouting at me that I hadn't read that yet when I said how much I love The Night and the Moth. So that is on my radar. But anything else? Let me know. I'd appreciate your recommendations.